The challenge we were facing was to create and establish profitable companies that would provide quality pit emptying services to all the households in the slums of Kampala, Uganda. We weren't completely naive, and we knew it would be difficult because the customers were poor and cautious. Transport costs were high, the margins were small, and the problem was big. $3.4 million a year big. That's the market value for removing the 5,460 cubic meters. That's over 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools of sludge produced each week. Wow, who would not want to get their hands on such a fortune? The better-managed and well-financed companies politely said, "Thanks, but no thanks. Your idea is too risky." So we went to the next obvious group, the owners of the 43 tankers operating around Kampala, who tend to empty septic tanks for richer families. We asked them about entering the untapped pit emptying market, and they politely said, "Thanks, but no thanks." People in the slums were always arguing about money and sometimes refused to pay. Plus, their pits are unlined, and if they collapse, they blame it on us. We advertised for people who are interested in starting a sanitation business, and we found business people who are interested but could not afford the tanker. "Don't worry," we said, and we helped them develop a business plan to present to the bank for a loan. After 9 months of negotiation and waiting, the bank eventually agreed to give the loan, but the entrepreneur would have to put his house up for collateral. In the end, he said, "Thanks, but no thanks, it's just too risky." With all these dead ends, we were forced to think again, realizing that we were incrementally moving away from our ideal solution. If bank financing and established businesses weren't options, we needed more affordable solutions. Enter the Gulper, a low-tech, manually powered ship pump that isn't particularly clean. The lowest rank in the technology ladder, but better than climbing in the pit with a shovel. With just $400, a person could enter the pit market with a gulper and 6 large plastic barrels. They did not empty the pits themselves, but instead employed an operator to do this hard, physically demanding work. A very simple business model and one particularly suited to the informal private sector. We were now in new territory, the informal sector where tax is something other people pay and mental records are the only ones that are kept. We had entered the shadowlands of the business world with a very steep learning curve. Here's what we found. First, we found that these resilient business owners could cope with fluctuation in the demand. Second, they lack the ambition and desire to take risks, and even though we called them entrepreneurs, they aren't very entrepreneurial. Third, the pit emptying profession is low status and generally seen as a stepping stone to something better. The truth, nobody dreams of a long-term career in sanitation. Fourth, profits are low, so growing a business on top of essential living costs is difficult. Fifth, transport is their biggest challenge. It is expensive to hire a pickup, roughly 45% of their revenue, and the truck owners are often unreliable and reluctant to transport sludge. Sixth, they actually like the gulper. Some even affectionately pat it like they would a dog. They like that it is robust and easy to repair. Plus, the businesses did not see the value of upgrading the gulper to something cleaner and better. It does its job. Why change? Seventh, they struggled to market themselves and were not good at closing the deal. They relied on door-to-door and word of mouth, and after 2 years, people had heard of their service, but few knew how to contact them. They were invisible. In the end, we had achieved part of our goal by developing viable, sustainable pit emptying services and gained invaluable recognition from the city's authority. But we were trapped in a cycle of poor quality and financial constraints, and we were unable to go to market. One estimate shows that we were only covering 4% of the market. We were hoping that more people would join in and start their own pit emptying businesses, but this didn't happen, which meant that we would never reach our citywide goal. Water for People realized that they needed to help the businesses break free of these constraints by supporting business marketing and finance, achieving higher visibility, and resolving the transport issue. By professionalizing pit emptying, they could move it out of the shadowlands. Enter Sanitation Solutions Group, A pathway to the market organization spun off by Water for People with the aim of building and growing the pit emptying market. They lease vehicles and equipment to the better performing businesses, which helps increase margins and remove the transportation constraint. The next step is to improve the marketing and visibility of the service, turn the emptiers into franchisees, and attract new people to starting sanitation businesses. This means a higher degree of market intervention from Water for People than originally intended, but we now recognize it is unavoidable. We know that pit emptying service delivery is an incremental development process where quality and capacity improve hand in hand with growing demand. The informal sector businesses are not the final solution, but rather the first steps on both the acquisition curve and the sanitation sector's learning curve.